Not everyone deserves an explanation because in life we often find ourselves entangled in conversations, debates, and situations where we feel obligated to justify our actions, decisions, and even our very existence. We spend countless hours trying to make people understand our intentions, hoping that if we explain enough, they will finally see things from our perspective. But the harsh truth is, not everyone is interested in understanding. Some people have already formed their opinions, shaped by their own biases, insecurities, and preconceived notions. And no matter how much clarity you offer, they will remain rooted in their judgment. It's exhausting to keep pouring your energy into explanations that fall on deaf ears, especially when the listener has no genuine desire to see you for who you truly are. They're not listening to understand, they're listening to respond, to argue, to manipulate, or to validate their own negative beliefs. You'll find that the more you try to explain yourself to these people, the more you lose a part of your own peace, chipping away at your self-worth as you seek validation from those who were never capable of giving it to you in the first place. This isn't to say that communication isn't important. It absolutely is. But communication should be a two-way street where understanding is the goal. When you realize that someone is more interested in misunderstanding you than actually hearing you out, that's your cue to stop. Their refusal to understand is not a reflection of your failure to explain, but a reflection of their unwillingness to listen. You could lay out every fact, every reason, and every heartfelt emotion, but if their mind is made up, your words are nothing more than noise to them. It's not your job to dismantle their walls of ignorance or pride. It's not your responsibility to fix the distorted lens through which they view you. The only thing you owe yourself is the freedom from that burden, the freedom to walk away, knowing that your worth is not tied to their approval. People will project their fears, insecurities, and unresolved issues onto you, twisting your words and intentions to fit their narrative. They might accuse you of things you never did, question decisions you made with a pure heart, or criticize choices they don't even fully understand. In those moments, the temptation to defend yourself can be overwhelming. You want to set the record straight, to prove them wrong, to clear your name. But what you need to understand is that people who are determined to see you in a negative light will always find a reason, no matter what you say. You could be the kindest, most genuine person, and they'll still find fault because their perception isn't about you, it's about them. It's about the lens they view the world through, shaped by their own baggage. You can't change that lens with explanations, no matter how heartfelt or logical they are. The peace you seek doesn't come from being understood by everyone. It comes from understanding yourself. When you know who you are, what you stand for, and the purity of your intentions, you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to people who don't deserve that part of you. Your energy is sacred, your voice is powerful, and your peace is priceless. Wasting any of that on people who aren't open to understanding is like shouting into an empty void, hoping for an echo that will never come. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to win their approval or change their minds, channel that energy into places where it's valued. Focus on the people who genuinely care about you, who listen with open hearts, who seek to understand rather than judge. These are the people who deserve your explanations, your time, and your emotional investment. You'll find that life becomes lighter when you stop carrying the weight of unnecessary justifications. You don't have to explain why you chose to walk away from a toxic relationship, why you prioritized your mental health, why you pursued a path that made you happy, even if it didn't make sense to others, or why you said no when it was necessary. Your choices are valid because they are yours, shaped by experiences, feelings, and insights that only you fully understand. You're not obligated to translate your life into a language someone else can comprehend if they're not even willing to learn the basics. The freedom that comes from this realization is transformative. It allows you to live authentically, unapologetically, and without the constant need to defend your existence. You begin to understand that silence can be louder than words, that walking away can be more powerful than standing your ground in a pointless argument, and that your peace is the ultimate proof that you've made the right choice. Demons represent negativity because they symbolize the darker aspects of human nature that manifest as envy, insecurity, bitterness, resentment, and malice. These are not literal demons, but the invisible forces that live within people, shaping their attitudes, behaviors, and how they treat others. You can often sense this negativity even before words are spoken. It's in the energy they carry, the way they look at you with judgment instead of curiosity, the subtle digs disguised as jokes, or the passive-aggressive comments meant to chip away at your confidence. These demons feed off of fear, doubt, and division, thriving in environments where there's a lack of self-awareness, emotional maturity, or genuine compassion. When people are ruled by these inner demons, they project their unresolved issues onto others. Not because of anything you've done, but because facing themselves is too uncomfortable. It's easier to criticize, belittle, and bring someone down than to confront the painful truths within their own hearts. Negativity doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through backhanded compliments, false concern, or the silent treatment. It hides behind fake smiles, masked as friendly advice that's laced with discouragement. People carrying these demons often make you question your worth, not because you're lacking, but because their own insecurities can't handle your life. Your confidence threatens their doubt. Your ambition exposes their complacency. Your happiness reminds them of their unhealed wounds. The more you shine, the more their negativity tries to dim you because your growth challenges the parts of themselves they've neglected or refused to heal. That's why no matter how kind, patient, or understanding you are, it will never be enough to satisfy someone who is fighting battles within themselves but taking it out on you. Their negativity isn't a reflection of who you are, it's a mirror of their own inner chaos. These demons also thrive on control. They want to control how you see yourself, how others see you, and how much space you take up in the world. They'll plant seeds of doubt in your mind, making you feel like you're always the problem, like you're too much or not enough, like you have to shrink yourself to be accepted. They disguise their manipulation as concern, their jealousy as advice, their bitterness as honesty. You'll notice that nothing you do is ever quite right in their eyes, not because you're flawed, but because their negativity distorts reality. Even when you succeed, they'll find a way to downplay it, to shift the focus to your mistakes, or to make you feel guilty for wanting more. This is how negativity operates. It seeks to pull you into its darkness because misery loves company. It's not content to exist silently. It needs to infect others to survive. Understanding this helps you detach from the emotional grip of other people's negativity. You start to see that their toxic behavior isn't personal, even though it feels that way. It's not about you. It's about the battles they haven't faced within themselves. Their demons whisper lies, not just to you, but to them as well, telling them they're not enough unless they put someone else down. That power comes from control, that worth is measured by comparison. Once you recognize this, you stop internalizing their projections. You realize you don't have to carry their burdens or make their darkness your responsibility. You don't have to dim your light to make them comfortable in their shadows. But the tricky part is that negativity can be seductive. It's easy to get pulled into the drama, to respond with anger, to mirror the same energy that's being thrown at you. That's how these demons win, not just by existing in others, but by provoking the same darkness within you. They want you to react, to lose your peace, to engage in battles that drain your spirit. That's why protecting your energy is so important. It's not about being passive or avoiding conflict. It's about choosing your battles wisely. About recognizing when engaging with negativity will only pull you down to a level where no one wins. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all, because your silence speaks volumes where words would only feed the fire. Negativity doesn't just affect relationships. It can poison environments, workplaces, friendships, even families. It spreads like wildfire when left unchecked, creating cultures of fear, resentment, and distrust. But just as negativity is contagious, so is positivity. When you refuse to let other people's demons dictate your actions, when you stand firm in your truth without the need to defend or explain, you break the cycle. You become a mirror too, but instead of reflecting darkness, you reflect light, showing others that it's possible to exist without being consumed by bitterness. You don't fight darkness with more darkness. You fight it by shining so brightly that it has nowhere to hide. And in doing so, you not only protect your own peace, but inspire others to confront their own demons instead of projecting them onto the world. Your worth isn't up for debate because it is not something that can be defined, measured, or validated by anyone outside of yourself. It's not a topic to be negotiated based on someone else's opinion, approval, or acceptance. Your worth exists because you exist. And no amount of criticism, rejection, or misunderstanding can change that fundamental truth. Yet many people spend their lives trying to prove their value to others, seeking validation from friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers, hoping that if they do enough, achieve enough, or please enough, they will finally be seen as worthy. But the reality is, if your sense of self is tied to external validation, you will always feel like you're chasing something just out of reach, because people's opinions are fickle, ever-changing, influenced by their own biases, insecurities, and limited perspectives, and basing your worth on that is like building a house on quicksand, unstable, temporary, and easily shaken. You don't need to prove your intelligence to someone who refuses to acknowledge your insight, your beauty to someone who can't see beyond their narrow standards, your kindness to someone determined to twist your intentions, or your strength to someone who only recognizes power in the form of dominance or control. Your worth is not conditional. It doesn't increase when you succeed or decrease when you fail. It's not something you earn like a prize. It's something you own like your very breath. Imagine the energy wasted trying to convince people of your value when that energy could be poured into living fully, authentically, and unapologetically. The truth is, no matter how much you do, there will always be someone who doesn't get it, who doesn't see it, who doesn't appreciate it. And that's okay, because their lack of recognition doesn't diminish your light unless you give them that power. People will project their insecurities onto you, making you feel like you're not enough, or sometimes like you're too much, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent to them. Your confidence may highlight their self-doubt. Your ambition may remind them of dreams they've abandoned. Your authenticity may challenge the mask they wear. And instead of confronting their own discomfort, they might try to shrink you to a size that feels safer for them. But just because someone can't hold space for your greatness doesn't mean you need to make yourself smaller. Their inability to see your worth is a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. And you were never meant to fit into boxes built by other people's insecurities. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if you just explain yourself better, if you work harder, if you change this or that about yourself, you'll finally be enough in their eyes. But that's a losing battle, because the goalpost will always move. What they think of you will shift with their moods, experiences, and personal struggles, and tying your self-esteem to that is like giving them the keys to your peace of mind. True confidence comes from knowing that who you are at your core doesn't need to be defended or justified. You are worthy simply because you are. You are deserving of respect, love, opportunities, and happiness, not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are in your essence. When you understand this, you stop over-explaining, overcompensating, and overthinking. You start setting boundaries not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You choose relationships, environments, and opportunities that align with your value, not ones that constantly make you question it. You walk away from situations where you are not appreciated, not with bitterness, but with peace, knowing that your worth doesn't decrease just because someone couldn't recognize it. In fact, sometimes rejection is redirection, a sign that you're not meant to be where your light isn't honored. You don't see a diamond arguing with someone who calls it a rock, and you don't see the sun trying to convince anyone it's bright. They simply exist in their brilliance, unaffected by opinions, and that's the level of self-assurance you deserve. The world doesn't get to decide how valuable you are. You do. The moment you stop allowing external voices to dictate your self-worth is the moment you reclaim your power. And you realize that your value isn't up for debate because it never was. Actions speak louder than words because words are easy to say, effortless to string together in ways that sound convincing, comforting, or inspiring, but without the weight of action behind them, they're just noise. Empty promises floating in the air, easily forgotten. Anyone can say they care, they love, they support, they're loyal, but it's what they do consistently that reveals the truth of their intentions, character, and values. Actions are the real language of authenticity because while words can be manipulated to deceive, actions rarely lie. You can't fake genuine effort, consistent support, or real accountability over time because actions leave traces, patterns that speak for themselves, even in silence. People may apologize repeatedly with words, but if their behavior doesn't change, the apology loses its meaning, becoming just a temporary bandage over the wound they caused, never addressing the root of the problem. In contrast, someone who takes responsibility through changed behavior without needing to say much shows their growth and respect for the relationship. In life, you'll encounter people who are masters of words, saying all the right things at the right times, making promises wrapped in charm and good intentions. But intentions alone don't build trust, consistency does. Trust is not formed in grand declarations, but in small, everyday actions that align with those declarations. It's in the friend who shows up when you need them, not just when it's convenient. In the partner who chooses to understand you even when communication is hard. In the colleague who supports your growth without hidden agendas. You don't need to hear "I've got your back" repeatedly from someone whose actions prove it without them having to say a word. The loudest support often comes from silent gestures, from people who do the right thing when no one is watching because their integrity doesn't require an audience. On the flip side, it's important to recognize this truth within yourself, not just when judging others. You can tell yourself you have goals, dreams, and ambitions, but if your actions don't reflect those desires, they remain fantasies. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is built on action, on the decision to show up even when you don't feel like it, on doing the hard things consistently because you know they matter. Words can inspire you for a moment, but actions create lasting change. You can affirm your self-worth all day, but if you don't set boundaries, practice self-care, and make choices that honor your value, those affirmations are just empty echoes. Your actions towards yourself are the most honest reflection of how much you truly believe in your own worth. Sometimes people will try to manipulate you with words, using flattery, apologies, or excuses to distract from their actions. And in those moments, it's easy to get caught up in what sounds good, especially if it's what you want to hear. But if you take a step back and observe, the truth reveals itself without much effort, because actions carry an energy that words cannot mask. Consistent neglect can't be hidden behind occasional sweet words, just as genuine care can't be faked through empty gestures. Pay attention to how people treat you when there's nothing for them to gain, when you're not useful to them, when you're vulnerable and in need, because that's when their true character shows. Similarly, your impact on others isn't defined by what you say about your values, kindness, or intentions, but by how those values are reflected in your behavior. You don't have to announce your integrity if it's visible in how you treat people with respect, even when they can't offer you anything in return. You don't need to declare how hardworking you are if your dedication is evident in the results you produce, the effort you put in, and the way you persist through challenges. The loudest voices in the room aren't always the ones making the biggest difference. Often, it's the quiet, consistent doers who create lasting change. Not because they talk about it, but because they live it every day without seeking recognition. In relationships, whether personal or professional, actions build emotional safety because they provide evidence that words alone cannot. Someone can tell you they respect you, but if they constantly cross your boundaries, dismiss your feelings, or ignore your needs, the words lose their value. On the other hand, someone may not be the most eloquent speaker, but their reliability, kindness, and consistency speak volumes about how much they value you. Over time, it's not the promises we remember most, but the moments when someone's actions made us feel seen, heard, and supported without them needing to say much at all. Ultimately, actions create legacies, not words. People may remember what you said for a moment, but they will never forget how you made them feel through your actions, how you showed up, how you stayed true to your principles, and how you handled both success and failure with grace and accountability. So, while words can inspire, heal, and motivate, it's actions that define who we are, what we stand for, and the impact we leave behind, because actions don't just speak louder than words, they speak the truth. Protect your peace because it is the foundation of your well-being, the anchor that keeps you grounded when life becomes chaotic, and the silent strength that allows you to navigate through challenges without losing yourself. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's the presence of clarity, emotional stability, and self-awareness that helps you maintain balance no matter what's happening around you. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of the world, people's opinions, unnecessary drama, toxic relationships, and the constant pressure to prove yourself. But none of these things deserve to have power over your inner calm. When you protect your peace, you are choosing to prioritize your mental, emotional, and spiritual health over the expectations and demands of others. Because not everything requires your reaction, not every battle is yours to fight, and not every opinion deserves your attention. People will project their chaos onto you, dragging you into situations that disrupt your harmony simply because they haven't found their own. They'll try to involve you in conflicts that don't serve you, guilt you into taking on responsibilities that aren't yours, or push your boundaries to see how far you'll bend. But peace isn't something that's handed to you. It's something you have to guard fiercely. Setting boundaries without apology, learning to say no without guilt, and walking away from anything that costs you more energy than it's worth. This doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-aware, because protecting your peace is about understanding that your energy is finite. and where you direct it shapes the quality of your life. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace over chaos. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence, not because you don't have anything to say, but because you've realized that your peace is more valuable than winning a debate or proving a point. People who thrive on conflict will try to bait you into emotional reactions, but when you choose not to engage, you take away their power. Protecting your peace means not allowing someone else's mood to control yours, not letting external circumstances dictate your internal state, and understanding that your sense of calm isn't dependent on the behavior of others. It's a choice you make every day. In relationships, protecting your peace means surrounding yourself with people who pour into you as much as you pour into them, who respect your boundaries, honor your growth, and don't drain you emotionally. It's recognizing when a connection is more harmful than healing and having the courage to distance yourself without feeling obligated to explain or justify your decision. Peace is not found in toxic environments where you constantly have to defend your worth, where your spirit feels heavy, or where you're walking on eggshells to keep the peace externally while sacrificing your own internally. Sometimes the cost of holding on to certain people or situations is too high, and the price is your peace. Your peace also depends on the relationship you have with yourself. It's about quieting the inner critic, letting go of perfectionism, and releasing the need to control things beyond your power. Protecting your peace means giving yourself grace when you make mistakes, allowing yourself to rest without feeling guilty, and understanding that productivity doesn't define your value. It's about creating mental space where you can breathe, reflect, and reconnect with what truly matters to you. When your mind is cluttered with stress, comparison, and self-doubt, it's hard to hear your own intuition. But when you protect your peace, you create the clarity needed to make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear or pressure. The world will always be noisy, demanding your attention with endless distractions, but peace comes from being able to find stillness within yourself despite that noise. It's in the moments when you choose mindfulness over mindlessness, presence over distraction, and gratitude over resentment. Protecting your peace is an act of self-love, a declaration that your well-being matters more than temporary validation or fleeting approval from others. It's understanding that not every situation requires your emotional investment. And it's okay to disengage from things that do not align with your values or disrupt your sense of harmony. At times, protecting your peace will require difficult decisions. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve you, stepping away from environments that drain you, or even redefining your priorities so that you're not constantly running on empty. It's not about avoiding challenges or living in denial of life's hardships, but about approaching them from a place of strength and calm because you've built a solid foundation within yourself. When your peace is protected, you respond instead of react. You think clearly under pressure, and you find joy in the simple, everyday moments that often go unnoticed when your mind is consumed with stress. Ultimately, protecting your peace is about taking full responsibility for your own happiness and well-being. It's about recognizing that while you can't control everything that happens around you, you can always control how you respond. And in that response lies your power, your freedom, and your peace. Surround yourself with the right people because the company you keep has a profound influence on your mindset, energy, and the direction of your life. The people around you either fuel your growth or drain your potential, either inspire you to be your best self or keep you stuck in cycles that no longer serve you. It's easy to underestimate how much the energy of others impacts your own until you start noticing how certain conversations leave you feeling motivated while others leave you feeling depleted. The right people don't just support you when it's convenient. They stand beside you through your highs and lows, celebrating your successes without jealousy and offering genuine encouragement when you stumble, not because they feel obligated, but because your well-being matters to them beyond superficial connections. When you're surrounded by people who truly believe in you, you start to believe in yourself differently. They reflect back the parts of you that you sometimes forget, the strengths you overlook, the resilience you underestimate, the potential you doubt. They don't compete with you because they understand that your success doesn't threaten theirs. In fact, they find joy in watching you thrive because your growth doesn't create scarcity. It expands possibilities for everyone. The right people challenge you not in a way that tears you down, but in a way that pushes you beyond your comfort zone, encouraging you to see beyond your limitations without making you feel inadequate. They hold you accountable to your goals, not by shaming you, but by reminding you of your why when you lose focus. On the other hand, staying connected to the wrong people can be like carrying invisible weights. They might not be overtly toxic, but their negativity, constant criticism, lack of ambition, or passive-aggressive behavior can subtly erode your self-confidence over time. They might discourage your dreams under the guise of being realistic, belittle your achievements with backhanded compliments, or make you feel guilty for setting boundaries that protect your peace. Their presence feels heavy because deep down you know you're shrinking yourself to maintain the connection, compromising your values just to keep the peace, or pretending to be less than you are to avoid making them uncomfortable. But real connections don't require you to dim your light. They allow you to shine fully without fear of rejection. Choosing the right people isn't about seeking perfection, because no one is flawless and every relationship requires effort, understanding, and grace. It's about recognizing who adds value to your life, not just through what they do for you, but through who they are when no one is watching. It's about aligning yourself with individuals who are authentic, kind, emotionally mature, and capable of having honest conversations without defensiveness or manipulation. The right people aren't afraid of your growth because they're committed to their own. They don't need to tear others down to feel significant because their self-worth isn't built on comparison. Instead, they create spaces where vulnerability is met with empathy, where mistakes are met with compassion, and where love isn't conditional on your ability to meet their expectations. Surrounding yourself with the right people also means becoming the right person for others. It's a reflection of the energy you give and receive. Relationships are mirrors. And while it's important to seek supportive, positive connections, it's equally important to ask yourself if you're offering the same in return. Are you showing up with authenticity, honesty, and kindness? Are you celebrating the successes of those around you without envy? Are you holding space for your friends and loved ones without judgment, allowing them to be fully themselves in your presence? The quality of your relationships often reflects the quality of your self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and personal growth. Sometimes, as you evolve, you'll outgrow certain relationships, and that can be painful because not all endings come with closure or clear reasons. You might find that people you were once inseparable from no longer align with your values, or that the dynamics feel one-sided, where you're constantly giving without receiving the same level of respect or effort in return. It's okay to outgrow people without resentment. Growth doesn't always mean conflict. Sometimes it simply means accepting that you're on different paths now. Holding on out of guilt, obligation, or nostalgia only delays the space needed for new, healthier connections to enter your life. Protecting your circle isn't about isolation, it's about intention. It's about being mindful of who has access to your energy, because not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people are meant to be lessons, not lifelong companions, and that's okay. The right people will never require you to betray yourself to maintain the relationship. They will inspire you to be more, not less. They'll be the ones who remind you of your worth on the days you forget, who speak life into your dreams, and who stand with you not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. So choose wisely, because the people you surround yourself with are either watering your growth or pulling at your roots. And you deserve to be in spaces where you can bloom unapologetically.